Sunichi. Okay, I had a speech prepared for this particular topic, and it's titled Tiv Ethnic Renaissance and the Power of Youths. But due to time constraints, I'll try and skim through it as fast as I can. Um, I was going to say a few things actually, but we're going to border on the power of culture, imagination, and action. So I chose to tell a few stories about these things. So, for centuries, storytelling was the mainstay of the African tradition and an integral part of our community, of which encompassed drama, poetry, rhythm, and dance. In the village of Ogidi, storytelling was not only an art form, but also a source of entertainment and education for children about the history and customs of the Igbo culture. As a young man, inspired by Igbo folktales, culture, and traditions, Chino Achebe naturally developed an interest in African traditional religion, reading, and eventually writing. While in college, he became disturbed by the negative portrayal of Africans and African culture in Western books, which he attributed to cultural ignorance. His passion for storytelling, culture, and eventually inspired him to a world career in writing. In 1958, Things Fall Apart was published to global critical acclaim, a book heavily influenced by the oral traditions and customs of the Igbo people, went on to revolutionize African literature and change the perceptions of the world about Africa. So influential was it that since its release, Things Fall Apart has been translated into more than 50 languages and has also been used to teach English literature and African studies in more than 80 countries. It has also won several international awards and remains an all-time bestseller, and is even listed by the Times Magazine among the top most influential books of the last century. Music. This is an integral part of African culture. It is a source of cultural identity, a form of communication, and an expression of spirituality. The young son of Reverend Minister, school principal, and a feminist anti-colonial activist, Fela Anikbola Kuti, went to London in 1958 to study medicine. He ended up studying music. Fela thereafter pioneered the Afrobeat genre, a signature sound delivered using Nigerian pidgin English with an Afrocentric political consciousness. His style borrows heavily from native Yoruba rhythm and traditional African chants with a complex fusion of jazz, funk, psychedelic rock, and Ghanaian Nigerian highlife. Fela's influence on music and popular culture transcends time and boundaries. His message continues to shape social and political ideas globally. Fela personifies the African swagger so much that 20 years after his death, the legend of Abba Mieda still remains an inspiration for many young African artists and the rebirth of Nigerian music. At the turn of the 21st century, the Nigerian music industry had exploded, becoming the second largest in the world measured in terms of numbers. A maverick Nigerian internet entrepreneur and founder of the world's largest digital distributor of African movies, Iroko TV, which is also dubbed the Netflix of Africa, was a struggling graduate in London when he stumbled on this idea. A $500 million a year industry with huge potential, Nollywood was plagued by piracy and low-quality movies. Jason Njoku recognized this opportunity and launched Iroko TV in 2011 via YouTube to serve Nigerian and African movies to a large African audience abroad. Iroko TV generated 150 million views in 2011 and $1.3 million in advertising. Today, Iroko TV enjoys lucrative content distribution deals with Dailymotion, iTunes, Amazon, and Vimeo. Analysts estimate that Iroko TV is worth $30 million today. Jason has transformed Nigeria and African entertainment industry for good and is on the verge of curbing a major problem in African and Nigerian movie industry. In 2013, he was listed on the Forbes top 10 most promising young African millionaires to watch. These are all young people with remarkable stories, just like us. But however, the only difference was they tapped into the power of their cultural background and experience to create huge positive change in their society. We know that in every generation, there are usually a group of people who alter the existing order, break the norm, and change things for good. We are all too familiar with the stories of Muhammad Ali, Michael Jackson, Bill Gates, and Mark Zuckerberg. They were young, creative, passionate, and adventurous. And Francis Bacon actually puts this way. Young people are fitter to invent than to judge, fitter for execution than for counsel, and more fit for projects than for settled business. So perhaps neither Achebe nor Jason or Fela would have stood out so remarkably had they not tapped into their culture. One thing, however, remains certain. They all knew how to unleash their passion because they knew and they were connected to their culture and heritage. Armed with education and a global perspective, they recognized that opportunities abound in the uniqueness of their cultural heritage. It is now imperative for all Tiv youths to seize this moment. As young people, we are custodians of our heritage. We need to build on the foundations that our parents and leaders have laid and elevate Tiv people to new heights. The world is entering a critical point in history, and Nigeria, along with the Tiv nation, will be at the center of this phenomenon. According to the United Nations World Population Prospects report of 2015, Nigeria's population is projected to double by 2035, that is in 10 years, and exceed 350 million people, surpassing the United States as the third most populous nation in the world. Keep in mind that approximately 60% of this population will be less than 25 years old. Consequently, by the year 200, that is perhaps in about 80 years from now, Nigeria's population is going to quadruple to above 900 million people. Ladies and gentlemen, this changes everything. It is undeniably a fundamental responsibility. Depending on what we do today, it could be a potentially huge opportunity or a very devastating catastrophe. The time is now for us to prepare for the future that awaits us. A future in which, in our lifetime, Tiv people will be the fourth largest ethnic group of the third most populous nation in the world. Effectively, the world will see Africa as the next frontier. Africans will look to Nigeria to provide leadership, and the Tiv people will look to us for direction. We can no longer see ourselves as privileged. Our education and our experience, and our diaspora for that matter, makes it a responsibility. We are equipped with the knowledge and the resources to inspire the innovation needed for the success of our ethnic group. Make no mistake, as Tivs, we all have a shared heritage. And as young people in diaspora, we have a duty to lead MUTA and the Tiv nation to the next level. Together with our amazing ideas, creativity, and knowledge, we can influence the world with our language, history, music, and dance, our arts, fashion, food, and economy. Through our collective actions and commitment, we can revolutionize Tiv culture for good. To our parents and our leaders, you have been the mentors and the torch bearers of our society. Our journey as a people has been a tough one, nonetheless with its successes. As we enter a new era, you must stop seeing yourselves as kings, but as visionaries ready to make the hard sacrifices necessary for society to grow. The dynamics of our country are fast changing, and so too is our society. Today, your generation is effectively a minority. It is worth noting that in 2015, young people make up at least 60% of Nigeria's 180 million people. Of this number, an estimated 100 million are 26 years and below. Life, as they say, is a relay race. The time has come to pass on the baton. A generational change is inevitable. In the famous words of Jimmy Carter, we must accommodate the changing times while we cling to the principles that never change. Your experience and wisdom are invaluable to us, but it is the ideas, imagination, and enthusiasm and creativity of our young people that will evolve the solutions and guarantee a successful future for the Tiv nation. You must ensure that you unite Tiv people towards a common purpose for collective success. Your duty is to mentor and blood in the next generation of credible, committed, and visionary young Tiv people in every facet of life. The challenges we are facing today are only a prelude to what will happen to our community in the coming decades if not addressed. To put all these ideas in perspective, permits me to suggest some few action points. As a matter of urgency, we must, among many things, work towards the following. 1, vision and mission go hand in hand and are necessary for the success of any endeavor. Wherever there are no clear goals, people will always create individual goals for themselves that may often be self-serving and run contrary to community interest. We need to articulate a Tiv agenda, an ideology, and establish a clear framework for organizing ourselves in order to guarantee our continuous success and existence. 2. One of the greatest and most ancient wisdoms known to humans is the advantage of teamwork. Without this, our existence is doomed. However, the culture of distrust and dishonesty that exists among Tiv people runs contrary to this concept and needs to be discarded as soon as possible. Consequently, we must rebuild trust amongst generations and between ourselves. Specifically, young people must constantly uphold the principles of integrity, credibility, and diligence. These should be the pillars on which our society stands. 3, knowledge and responsibility are essential for survival and must be passed on through generations. The young must learn the values of responsibility and the principles of leadership from the old. As a society, we must consciously encourage and create a platform and opportunities continuously for cross-generational interaction and mentorship for youths at all levels. Distinguished colleagues, I urge you all at this point to actively be involved in bringing new ideas, innovations, and become proactive stakeholders in the activities of MUTA and Tiv. On a final note, let us take a moment as we reflect on the words of late Chief Akiga Sai, who was the first Tiv man to be baptized a Christian, the first Tiv man to read and write, the first Tiv man to publish a book. And his quote, and I say, "Further, do you, however great your knowledge may be, remember that you are a Tiv, remain a Tiv, know the things of Tiv, for therein lies your pride. Strengthen yourselves. The mushroom tribe will always live on." Nsunichi.